There's a lot of love flowing out for Jesus this morning, a lot of gratitude for showing the way through A Course in Miracles to see what's true, to see this great love. And this morning I was reminded with the quote, "To teach only love, for that is what you are." And finding that there's so much happiness in that, teaching only love in this world. So much joy in that, so much peace of mind. And I think often of the crucifixion as such a powerful symbol of love, of an expression of love, when it doesn't seem to be that in the ways of the world, that this would be an expression of love. And to follow the Father so fully and to love so much. And I think of Jesus on that road to Damascus, along the road, in visiting Jerusalem in the last, I think about a year ago, I was in Jerusalem. And to be reminded that the crucifixion outside the walls of Jerusalem was along the road to Damascus. And a lot of times it's depicted as, high up on a hill. And that may be so, but someone shared that those crosses were right on the road, right at road level, as beings were walking by and traveling the road to Damascus. And I just think of that, like all the hatred, and that usually there's a lot of cursing during the crucifixion, like the beings on the cross are in tremendous pain and they're cursing. And thinking about a being that so loved the world and saw that attack was impossible, and loved, and is teaching love right on that cross to the man next to him, and thinking only about the kingdom of heaven and teaching peace while so many would walk by and spit and scream, and how much power that has, and how much trust in the Father, and how much grace, really grace under every circumstance, to stand in the light of the Father and this gift of this great love that we are, regardless of what shows up in form, and how this is really the only peace of mind that Jesus was offering by demonstrating it through this great love and this great peace, that we are love, and there isn't anything other than love in this great connection with love, our Father. Call it Creator, call it God, call it, well, there's whatever words. It's just an invitation to discover this true identity, that eternal peace and love that Jesus promises, the kingdom of heaven within. And that this discovery is just merely looking at all the beliefs that seem to block the recognition of this infinite, loving presence. And an aspect of the Course in Miracles that's very helpful in terms of the speed at which this can be recognized, because many spiritual seekers, they're turning inward and looking very deeply and wanting to know the truth of identity. And there are many paths for this. And A Course in Miracles offers and emphasizes something that's very precious, and that is to look toward the Holy Spirit, to look outside of an idea of a personal identity, to look for the truth, toward the truth, for all decision making, for every decision. Because in limited-based consciousness, there's a belief that there can be a decision to be separate from what's eternal and unchanging. And it's impossible to be separate from what's eternal. Yet, as long as that idea is held in the mind, it will feel that way. It'll feel like there's separation from infinite love. And so what Jesus is offering is by turning toward that light, that infinite light within, and following that light, following the directions. The offer, Jesus said, I will tell you everything, where to go, who to meet with, what to say. And at first, this seems, I can remember in my own journey, this just really sounded horrible, actually. It sounded like, what do you mean I have to follow the Holy Spirit? And what does that really mean? And it seemed like, oh, giving up control, or I don't know, giving up some kind of power. And I'm seeing that's personal identity is the one who's actually complaining. That's the one that's complaining, because it's an idea of holding on to separation, to a feeling of separation, and wanting to experience, desire to experience a world of suffering. That's very humbling to see, that it's a desire to experience suffering. When it's taken for granted, it seems like suffering is something that happens to me, to a person, to a body. And in the power that Jesus has of just pointing to, no, that's a choice. That's a choice to be separate. It's not a choice to be one with everything. It's automatic. It's already given. By the very nature of being here, it's impossible to be here without being one with that, with everything. And you begin to see that it's a choice not to feel not to have that recognition of love, and that choice comes through holding on to beliefs and grievances, and that there is a way out, and that is Jesus pointing to following that divine light, following his words within that anyone can learn to listen to. Sometimes it sounds like Jesus, or it can sound like Krishna. There's something that calls us to the recognition of who we are as the world no longer works or functions. Or just there's something about it that doesn't feel right. Like we know this. We know there's something about the way the world is that's not right. And it's only in looking deeply, and it's only actually through this discomfort. I don't think I would have started the spiritual search unless there had been like this great discomfort, this dis-ease. And that dis-ease is really the signal that we're not aligned with the truth of our identity. It's just a signal. And as we start to look at these signals, this disquiet within, we start to see that we've really turned away by choice from the source, a recognition of source of this infinite happiness, joy, and peace. And as we start looking at that, we find that we can choose again, as Jesus says in A Course in Miracles, we can choose again to look toward the infinite power of being and this great love that we are. And we can be celebrating that every day and every moment, rather than investing in an idea of a personal identity that's so limited and uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable. It's actually start seeing how miserable that is. It's really miserable. And to see the real power that we've been given in being an expression of divine nature, and the joy and the peace that Jesus promises is available. It's not after we die. It's not after rest and peace. It's now. It's eternally present for all of us. And to be together in this great love, celebrating this great love always. Yet as long as the ideas are held within the mind, deep within the subconscious mind, those deep desires within the subconscious mind to deny divinity, that it will seem very elusive. Will be peaceful for moments, there'll be peace for moments, and then it'll feel like hell, actually, because it's a denial of divine nature, and that can't feel good. How can that ever feel good, denying divine nature? It's impossible for that to feel good. So by turning within and really asking consistently, what's most helpful for me to see what's true? Like, what's really most helpful right now to see what's true? And that voice will get stronger and stronger, that feeling within. It seems to look different for different beings, but there's just becomes this noticing as the mind turns inward to see what's true. And following that guidance and the seeming assignments, it'll seem to come in assignments. What are the assignments that is right now to follow through? And that's when the miracles that Jesus promised from A Course in Miracles, more and more miracles will come. And the experience here is you can't argue with Jesus. That's the experience. And you won't want to. I remember there are so many but Jesus, but Jesus, but Jesus. Like what, but. And then it just, that this great love just, it's really funny in some ways that a great love that we already are seemingly has to prove to us that we are divine beings. Yet somehow it does. Somehow there's just such this great benevolence that comes in and says, keeps reminding and keeps soliciting for us to turn toward the face of the light that we are, past the idea of a personal identity, and then just provides everything that's needed for that as soon as the heart turns inward. And that's the great love that we celebrate, and that's the great love that's pointed to by the symbol of the crucifixion, to no longer crucify the Son of God anymore, and to celebrate always with the great love that's here.